I was going to have to leave at 6 o'clock today. I'm going to finish it out at a police chaplain meeting.
Madam Chair, we live.
Today is November 14th and the time is 5:18 p.m. I'm calling to order the Baldwin Park Stakeholders Oversight Committee regular meeting. Pastor Jackson, do you mind leading us in an invocation?
Certainly. Heavenly Father, we come before you right now in the name of the Lord and giving you praise, glory, and honor and thanksgiving, Lord. You said to acknowledge you in all of our ways and you will direct our path. And that's what we need, your divine direction, Lord, as we discuss what we need and how to spend the city's money, Lord, that it will be wise decisions in what we do and how we do it. And also, Lord God, I'm asking you, Lord God, for the peace over in Israel on both sides, Lord, that you just intervene there in the name of the Lord, we pray. Amen.
And now if I can have everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Deputy City Clerk, can I please get a roll call?
Yes. Member Van Wen. Member Rodriguez. Member Orozco. Let the record reflect Member Orozco is not here. Member Marta Cárcamo. Let the record reflect Member Marta Cárcamo is not here. Member Hernandez.
Here.
Vice Chair Jackson.
Here.
Chair Lara.
Here.
We have quorum.
Okay, thank you. At this moment, we will open public communications. Chief Deputy City Clerk, is there anyone looking to speak?
We haven't received any emails.
Thank you. Anyone else looking to speak that did not fill out a speaker card? Now would be the time if you wish to say any words. Okay. Seeing no one else is looking to speak, we will close public communications. And now we will move on to new business. Number 1, Measure BP investment opportunity categories, formulation and prioritization, continued from our October 10th, 2023 meeting.
Chair Lara, I would like to recommend that items 1 and for that matter, item 2, that we keep them as a continuation item for resuming the discussion once the committee concludes its public engagement period. Then we can conclude item number 1 and to a large extent, item number 2.
Okay. Do my colleagues agree?
Aye.
Is this a vote?
For both.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, so can I, oh gosh, I always forget this part. Can I get a motion to keep number 1 and 2 open on our agendas? And I'm understanding that they would continue to reflect on future meeting agendas as well as the discussion will continue.
Correct.
I second that motion. Keep it.
Did we do that right, Ms. Quinones? Deputy Chief.
I'll jot it down.
Okay.
Member Hernandez. Member Rodriguez.
Yes.
Member Van Wen.
Yes.
Vice Chair Jackson.
Yes.
Chair Lara.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Go ahead.
So I know we're continuing them, but can we also just get an update on just to get an update on what Betsy presented at the school board meeting? Grab on that.
I'm sorry, board member, do you mind repeating?
If we can just also just hear quick, like just a summary of of how Betsy felt the school board meeting went. I know she wanted to present and tell them about the sport complex idea.
Yeah, later we have a review of the comments submitted so far. Yes. Later on the agenda.
So with that, are we still going to go over item number 1? Okay. I had a question. I know that there isn't anything that has been finalized on that list, but I was curious about something that I thought about the other day. So just as it pertains to that piece, as far as using money, and I'm sorry if I don't remember the category, but to retain city staff. Because I think as some of my colleagues have voiced up here, we're losing employees that are getting more competitive pay somewhere else. So I just had a question. Would that money be allocated for bonuses or ongoing salary use?
So nothing specific as to
Okay.
how it would or could be used, other than that as a general category that it be contemplated as one of the categories that the SOC would consider an eligible category. So, but it could be any or all of the above, but nothing specific yet.
Okay. Okay. I was just wondering that because I don't know if I'm rationalizing this in my mind correctly, but there was just a concern for me that if that's the way we decided to go, again, I know we're still just exploring these topics, just what that would look like if it's an ongoing,
Right.
portion of
Those
money.
like 2 salaries, you're right. And then salaries are,
And then they continue to increase, and then it's more of a burden financially on the money.
right.
So I think that's what I was concerned of as far as ongoing versus like a one-time bonus. But thank you for clarifying if nothing's been,
Nothing
Okay.
specific yet.
okay.
I want to ask the question on this, from my understanding, and my always standing, to be corrected that none of the SOC money was to go out for any salaries. Am I wrong or right?
I don't know why I'm more pronouncedly hard of hearing today. Sorry,
That wasn't-
Pastor Jackson.
I'm sorry, it might have not have been in the mic. From my understanding, and I don't mind standing correctly, that none of the SOC money was to go for salaries.
That it was not to go for salaries?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's why you're considering the categories. So that's
So we can change the category of that if
Mhm.
we so desire.
right.
Yes, chief can get a salary.
I think what it was is that it wasn't in the last community meeting, the one they held before it was official. It was people strongly were against putting it to salary because they did not want to think that all the
Right.
taxes would go into just like buffing and being like, oh, you get a bonus, you get a bonus, rather than like retaining staff that are crucial and to make it competitive, like Betsy said. But that's something that if we all agree to, or at least get a quorum to pass it, we can do. That's something we want to consider again.
See, my concerns, like I explained it before, my concern is that I don't want to lose any more police officers up right here. We promise the community a safe community, and the police department and the community depends on the police department. So if we don't treat them properly and be competitive with other agencies, our police department and our officers, they're gonna go climb stairs someplace else where they can get better offer. I sponsor the police department. If we can use some of this SOC money for them, I approve that. But then again, that's just my opinion. But I don't want my police officers to come over here as for a training and then it will go someplace, because that happened before.
And you will have the opportunity when we come back to finalize the categories. I mean, not foretelling the discussion then, but I think my recommendation would be that you keep the category open as it is, and then you will consider specific requests. And if, for example, you feel that only bonuses or only a portion of a salary, you will have that opportunity with very specific requests as opposed to a general category, but keeping the general category open and on the list of eligible categories.
Anybody else on number one? I think honestly, as we have the community meetings and we hear more, I think it'll continue to solidify itself. I think just based on the two we had, I think the one thing for me that really stood out was the sports complex amongst, you know, the security piece, fixing streets, the senior center, making sure our seniors are safe as well. I think those are the bigger, or the ones that stood out for me between those two nights.
Yep.
And I do hope we get more participation moving forward.
Yeah, in fact, we have an item here with a recommendation to do one more community engagement meeting for sure. And you know, when you get to that item, that's what we're recommending.
Okay. So if there's nothing else, we'll move on to item 2, which is the sports complex project, the conceptual visioning process, which again is being continued from October 10th, 2023. I'm actually really disappointed you two weren't able to make it, or our other colleague here, only because I think that when you presented us those different options, just hearing about it or seeing the pictures, I honestly it did not compare to seeing it in person at all. And so I think for me, since I know that 3 of us were able to make it, I think there were pieces from a couple where I was like, oh, I want that, I want that, I want that. And I think even more so the enclosed swimming pool. That was beautiful.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Was.
I also did like the is it turf at Chino Hills?
Yeah, I know that was a feature that you particularly were impressed by.
I mean, I think we all were, because we don't have, because I think what I always think about liability. And I remember what the individual that gave us the tour, and I'm sorry, I don't remember names, but I remember him saying, you know, when it's just dirt, you have to make sure it's lasered, you know, where it's even. And, you know, when he mentioned how much money, and then if it's not done right, that's when I started thinking, oh my gosh, people get hurt, injuries happen. We don't want to get sued. We don't want anybody to get hurt. So it just seemed like having the turf in the long term seemed like the better investment, even though it is a little bit more expensive. And I think even looking at the fields, I mean, if our kids played on there, even our adults, they were amazing fields.
Definitely. And I don't know if we open up item 3 so we can debrief on our field trip.
Sure. Oh, I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. I thought that's where we were.
Don't worry. That's good that you're anxious to share with.
I was. So, okay. So, so I guess then with number 2, oh, that's the Board of Education. Okay. So let me backtrack. So yes, I did go and speak in front of the board. Jorge was there, Pastor Jackson, Council Member Danny Damian, Manny, Mr. Saldivar. Am I missing anybody else?
Jorge, did you say Jorge? Jorge
Yeah.
was there. Yeah.
Yeah, Jorge
Yeah,
was
I
there.
was there.
Yeah. So I did speak to the board, and I was very, very happy because I know that prior to me leaving from the board, I don't think the discussion had yet happened around what to do with the schools that had closed. But part of the discussion that took place that night was exactly that, was starting to explore the possibilities of what could happen at each of the, or with the school sites that happened closed. And I know one of the things that was mentioned was not just green space, but having spaces for our students as far as park space for sports and so forth. I think that was positive. My only worry was I don't want to compete with housing. And it's not that I'm not pro housing, but I feel that if we're talking about benefiting the entire community and in benefiting more, I think it will be our parks.
If I can also echo first the timeliness of your testimony and of course Councilmember Damian's, because that was a critical meeting for the board to start forging their priorities on what uses they would consider, and sports complex and open space was one of the two priorities, the other being housing. And if we, for purposes of the discussion here, as a collective discussion, what the committee members feel, say, strategy that we should pursue in our engagement with the school board and the staff at the school district, the superintendent's office and so forth, to ensure that we stay on it, right? So all of you are members of the community, and your ideas would be incredibly useful. So if board members be so willing to express how you think we can more effectively advocate for the sports complex and the open space for, we initially thought, well, maybe one side, but one time Manny said, well, no, how about two sides? And then after our tour, we're thinking more than maybe even the two sides is not enough.
Well, yeah, because I think everything we saw, there's no way to fit that in one location because we don't have acres of land. So it would be nice if we could designate different spaces for different uses.
So Pleasant View is just over 10 acres. Elwyn is just over 9 acres. Generally around the 10-acre size, all of the school stations. Heath, I want to say it's about that size, a little smaller. So yeah, I mean, Chino Hills Community Park, that was 30 acres. And, the ones who were able to, those of us who were able to visit it, we saw what acreage can do, right?
It was beautiful. I think it was, I mean, they all had their uniqueness to it, but I think I liked that one more even than the Field of Dreams. I guess I had never been there, and I think when I heard so much about it, it was nice, but the Chino Hills is beautiful.
Yeah, I was sharing with folks what a hit we were when we showed up in our trolley bus, right? Folks thinking we were some sort of celebrity, and of course they see the chair get off the bus, and definitely they thought we were celebrities. They start taking pictures, and they came up to us and said, "Who are you guys?" It was quite a welcoming reception there.
Do you have anything you want to add?
I'm just thinking, how is the housing situation here? And how could housing improve Baldwin Park above the sports arena, or equal or splitting half and half? You know what I'm saying?
Right. They didn't rank them. They said that those would be their two top priorities. So I would assume that from their perspective, as of right now, they're looking at them equally.
Okay.
Anything else, Pastor?
No, no, not on this. Haven't told what to do yet.
Jorge, did you want to add anything about the visits?
No.
So I have a question. So once the visits are finalized, do we just give our feedback as far as like what we would want? Because I can see, like I said, depending what we're allotted, we're not going to necessarily get everything we desire.
Well, the fronts that I envision, obviously the SOC front, the city council front, and then the staff, right? and I think all three fronts have to be fully engaged. As a city, the city council hasn't yet taken up a discussion as to whether we weigh in and how prioritize. I mean, where Councilmember Damian clearly stands as far as the sports complex. Mayor is neutral, but I know the mayor is interested in housing. But we haven't really taken up the discussion at council as a whole, and whether it needs to or not, I don't think that's necessarily a must. But for the sports complex though, and the open space, that's what's before the SOC in terms of a strategy. And I do envision us, and I don't want to by any means get ahead of ourselves, but just to in a one of the earlier meetings in 2024, I do expect us to bring to the SOC committee a recommendation to bring somebody on board, an architectural firm, to start taking your visioning ideas and start putting them on some sort of paper that we can then turn it into a proposal to present to the school district.
Okay.
Chair Lotta, I feel that we need to look down the corridor of time and see what kind of advantage that we will have 2024, 25, 26, because it's not the now, it's also dealing with our future of Baldwin Park.
See, with board member Greg Orozco not being here, but he's involved in all of the youth sports, or at least most of them. That voice is very important.
And I know from, dealing with some of the Little League coaches, I know that it's been a challenge for years now, not just having adequate space, but I think one of the things that stood out for me is because we don't have adequate space, a lot of students are playing in other city leagues. And then what that's leading to is them also leaving the district because they're finding other opportunities in those districts as well. I think one aspect would potentially be to build that here so that we're not losing kids to other cities or other districts. And I know that's been like the issue for many, many years back now, at least with the little leagues. Did you want to say something? Oh, I thought you were going to say something, Council Damian. Yeah.
So, I certainly for us to now translate SOC's advocacy into an actual proposal, and both at the SOC level and at the council level, then merge those two so that they could be a formal, whether it's going to be a negotiation or no, but I almost anticipate us having to present a proposal to them.
Chair Lara, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
Enrique, at the school board meeting, and correct me if I'm wrong, did they say that they were going to bring this up for board discussion in December? I think that was a direction they gave, right, Betsy?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
So that means that after their meeting in December, we'll know more or less which way they're going to go. And at that point in time, that's when we can start the negotiations for the property or properties. But if we're looking at, Chino Hills having 30 acres and Pleasant View 10 and Alwyn maybe 9, then it would probably be a good idea for us to be aggressive and see if we can maybe pick up both sites. This way we have one on one side of the city, and then we have one on the north side of the city, which is absolutely park poor, because there's really nothing up on the north side. So this way you have both facilities, and then able to come up with a design for both facilities, obviously make them multi-use, but that way we know which direction for SOC to go once we know what the board's going to decide in December. So that would be something that we need to pay attention to.
We'll track that, Councilmember Damian.
And I think too, what wouldn't hurt is if we had families or individuals, because I do believe there's a strong interest in the sports complex is having those individuals write letters to the board.
Yeah,
Just expressing, what they would want to see in the community. And I think too, we had a discussion also is that maybe one of the things we do so that it is also still a shared space with the district is if there is some kind of, I think you just mentioned in Council Damian, like a shared space that is open for like multi-purpose use, that would also be something that the district would have access to, like for meetings. I don't know, just something where it's like a win-win as well for them.
because in the context of having a clean slate, meaning it's wide open 10 acres as opposed to 4 acres of, and then the rest still being occupied by the existing structures, which by and large, they're older structures. Some of them are modular buildings. But rather than expecting the school district to be agreeable to tearing them down, and also could be that, let's build something new for
Mhm.
both them and us, like you're saying, Chair, but brand new.
Yeah, I mean, that's the vision I have, is that we just start clean and build up in terms of, what we determine and city council agrees to as far as would benefit, like I said, the entire city.
Agree with you.
We'll plan on Annie and myself on the architectural firm that can help us things on.
And I think it goes back to what you've said, Jorge, the Beverly Baldwin Park, making it the Beverly Hills for us. We want to give that to the community. Something nice, something that we can have pride in. And, I think it also reflects that the community is important as well. And it is their dollars.
If I may make a suggestion is, if it is that it does go that route, it may be a good idea to get community input and see what their vision is for these facilities, because I'm hoping we can get both, but
Right.
Maybe get them involved in the design process. I know we've had some of those in the past, right, Manny, at the community center where we've held the meetings and then we've given the opportunity for people to come out and envision what they would want to see.
Absolutely. We've had numerous public input meetings, not only for Measure BP, but although if I'm not mistaken, we had public input meetings for the ARPA funds as well. So we had a handful, if not closer to a dozen public input meetings, and there's been discussion of multi-use facilities for soccer, for baseball, open space, passive space, walking space, so things of that nature. There's also been some conversations of a smaller version of a community center. So I think we, or the committee, has a unique opportunity to really leave their legacy, in a sense, on the community in terms of future facilities, because as of today, we have approximately 70,000 residents living in the community, and we have very little green space. We are one of the park poorest communities in Los Angeles County, which incorporates 86 cities and numerous portions of the unincorporated portions of Los Angeles. So we have a unique opportunity to add maybe 2-3 school sites and turn those school sites into multi-beneficial type of projects for the community. And as Councilmember Damian mentioned, as of right now, we do not have a park on the north end of town.
Chair, one of the things that I'm also thinking about, that we somehow we must have more community involvement in this. And if we don't have more community involvement, whenever we make a decision, You got those that don't and those that do. And if we can get the community given the okay of what we're doing or the nay of what we're doing, is a far better situation. And how are we going to do that? I don't know, because I was kind of disappointed in what we did have, as far as the community is concerned on both ends of it. What's the population here?
The population is approximately 70,000
70,000.
residents.
That wasn't even a teardrop.
And I share his frustration because once the decision's made, then they start coming out, especially,
Absolutely.
you know, keyboard warriors, right? They're behind social media criticizing the decisions that were made. But I'll say what I said when we were holding the Measure BP community meetings. We were just as disappointed because, I mean, at some meetings, we were lucky we had what, maybe five members show up. So at the end of the day, what we need to do is we just need to make sure that we're holding these community meetings, doing what we can to advertise them, get people to try to get involved. And at the end of the day, we did what we did. We try to reach out to them. The decision was made. You were given the opportunity. You didn't show up. It's not on us. It's on you. And that's just the best that we can do. Just be open, transparent, and continue with these meetings, even if just one shows up or 5 show up. At the end of the day, they can't come back and say that we weren't transparent enough to have these community meetings. We said, you know what, we held 10, 15, or whatever it was. If you didn't show up, that's on you guys. This way, you guys made a decision. There's nothing that they can do because you guys give them the opportunity.
I would say that for the sports complex visioning specifically, I do believe that the sports community and board member Orozco just arrived. I'm sure maybe he'll agree with me, maybe not. But I do anticipate the sports community being activated and really involved in wanting to participate on the visioning of the sports complex. When it's for the general sort of categories and prioritization, it doesn't quite register with that same resonance. So to Councilmember Damian's point, we will continue to, encourage and try to make it convenient, go to different places throughout the city. But beyond that, shouldn't be duly disappointed if folks don't come out in large numbers, but the sports complex, I do believe they're going to come out.
I think you mentioned it like a nail on the head. For our message to get to the community, we gotta know our audiences, right? If we're doing sport complexes and you just saying that to my mom, right? My mom's like, I don't care. I do nails. Right? My mom would not care. But if somebody like me or coach here would pass the message on to the sport community, right? I think from the youth, from whoever coach and here and there, they can be our multiplier of the message that's going out. Yeah, I think you said it.
Agree.
On that, I think, our population, we have a very old population. Our seniors are very strong here. They show up to the senior center. I drop off my mother-in-law and there's 20 people ready to play bingo on Tuesday night or Tuesday morning, whatever. And we have a new generation of younger people that have kids that are interested in the sports and the things at the school, and it's that middle generation is that kind of well, yeah, sports is kind of good and let's do something else. But I'm holding a tournament, my first tournament here at Morgan Park on Sunday. It has a 4U 3 and 4 year old division. I sold out in that division in 10 days. I limited it to 150. I had people, I said, close, sold out. And as of 10 minutes ago, I had people saying, I'll pay double if I can get my kid in this. It's a beginner's tournament. I have kids from Temecula, Hesperia, Barstow, Bakersfield coming for a beginner's tournament. Events like that, when we do build a sports complex, I limited at 150. By the time I hit the button stop, I'm at 186 kids, you know, and I try to limit it at 150. When we do build the complex, it's just gonna we gotta figure out how many weekends are we gonna fill this thing? You know, it's not that we're not gonna have this thing empty and growing cobwebs. So the people I've talked to around the city, there's some city improvements people tell me about, but the majority of the sports complex, they go goo goo gaga over it, and I think gotta keep moving forward with it. And just wanted to say that. Thank you.
I have a question. So I just want to think of some backup options as well. If we don't get those sites, if we don't get those school sites, where would we put this sport complex? What's the next idea? Like ballparking that. Just
Not at those sites.
if it's not, like, just in
Yeah.
case housing wins out and the council's like, no, because I'll admit housing is a big priority. Affordable housing is essentially a crucial part of Baldwin Park, and
Yeah.
I know that's something that's really major. And just thinking, just not to be a downer, but in case we don't get that, I think we should also be thinking of secondary locations, because this does not to like step into item 4, but already thinking like this is something I think we can all agree from the community meetings that we saw, much needed, much desired. We all really are good. I think we could see the community who did show up and speak, like Damien said, the ones who did come want this. And I just really would want to, if we don't get those, start thinking, what's the next step? What's the next locations? That way we can get the ball rolling, and just something to bring up and start thinking about as well.
No, that's a great point, board member. And rather than just saying, well, if there is no school site availability, then it's a no-go. We shouldn't assume that it's a no-go. But as an example, the Elwyn property valuation right now, I think the school district commissioned an appraisal. And Elwyn is just under an acre, so I think it's 9 acres. Valuation came in at $29 million. So imagine, if we were to try to pursue property, the city would have to acquire for 9 acres. We're talking $29-30 million. So it makes it much impossible maybe to pursue it. But we shouldn't shout out option B. Let's stay on option A for now. And I think that's why we have to be strategic and be aggressive and be a good partner. I think the school district appreciates how the city is approaching it at all levels. Council, you guys, the SOC. I know they appreciated both Chair and Council Member Damien and the Mayor coming to the meeting and to find. So we got to cultivate that relationship, and it does require each of the members' way of how you think. Whether it's activating more community members, a letter writing campaign that, as the chair suggested, maybe we come up with a form letter that people can use and send it. But that was the whole idea of coming up with a strategy that can employ for the next 3 months or so. And I don't know when we can put a final agreement, but we're within a 3 to 4 month window to strike a deal with the school district, at least for some of the sites.
And if I may just jump in really briefly, unfortunately, like you mentioned, the plan B, there really isn't, because there's no other location. The district are the ones that have the biggest properties. So there's really no other properties there. I know that when it comes to housing, there's a little bit more red tape, right, Enrique? With the developers, I know they have to give it to affordable housing first. So there's a little bit more red tape when it comes to housing versus working on a joint project when it comes to open space. And then, also another thing to keep in mind with Measure BP funds to be able to build these sports complexes out is that that's going to be kind of like our primary focus on the funds. But, and Manny can jump in on this, because it is park space, it's open space, and we are park poor. There are still grants that we can apply for to help us construct this. So it's not just 100% from Measure BP, but we just have to be strategic. We have to be aggressive, and we just have to give them the justifications as to why we feel the sports complex is needed in the city, and how that's going to benefit the overall community more than affordable housing. Although, don't get me wrong, affordable housing is important. And I know we've allocated $5 million from the city to address that, working with Habitat for Humanity. But, you know, just like Pastor Jackson said, a teardrop, that's just a bucket in the drop, a drop in the bucket, because there's just such a big need for housing, period, right? But you think about it, we've got 70,000 people here. We don't have enough open space to accommodate for our 70,000 residents. So if we go and add more housing, it's just going to make us even more park poor, because now we're adding more people to already a, you know, saturated city with not enough open space. So I think that we need to address those deficiencies first, get that open space, and then focus on bringing in more affordable housing. So those are just things that we can, you know, use towards our argument with the school district to, you know, use this as a joint project. But if we have to go strike in front of the district, we'll do it, right, Enrique? No, we're not going to give up. I'm going to continue to be aggressive with them. And I know that, you know, we've discussed it at the collaborative meeting we have with the city and the school district. So whenever there's the next collaborative meeting, maybe Enrique, you can send them an email with the date. And if that is on the agenda for discussion, you guys can maybe go there and weigh in your you know, your opinions during public speaking. So that would be something that I would recommend as well. Thank you.
Also, just one comment. So that feels a little more scary for me, thinking that if we don't get that, the sport conflict dream is a little bit dead. So I think that puts extra pressure on us to start really thinking of ideas. And I actually have one to suggest. I'm not sure if this is feasible or not, but why don't we interview the kids that do little leagues and do events and then play them at the school district? And is that something we can do? Because I'm sure that the parents, like, we have people who would come to meetings, but like the kids who wouldn't come, their voices still matter. They're still residents of BP, and they're the ones who are our main target of that. And just a suggestion, think about maybe getting parents to have them come to speak, or doing like a video recording of what playing these sports mean to them, and make that as a suggestion of why the sport complex is needed in our community. Just a suggestion.
Can I make a comment? I talked to this young man that he coaches baseball right there in the Little League on Elwyn. And he has great concern about the park disappear, because like you say, he doesn't know whether that's going to go for a sport complex or it's going to go to something else. And also he mentioned it to me that he tried to get the school district or Sierra Vista High School so they can take their kids and play there. And they told him no, because that's only for the school. So I really mean from the bottom of my heart that we get these two sides, and let's not give up. Let's not give up. Everything is possible if we set our minds and heart into it. You know, it's just a matter of keep moving forward. And because we don't want to disappoint the kids here in our city, you know. I mean, they playing soccer right here in Morgan Park, sometimes at the schools, and they don't play soccer at the schools anymore. For what reason, I have no idea. But the sport complex is a must for the youth. Thank you.
Chair,
Yes.
are we making plans as if we are going to purchase the land? That's what I want to know. And if we do get the land to do what we need, we need to get single-minded of what we're going to do with that land.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the conviction to acquire those sites in some way, whether it's a joint use partnership probably from a strategic point of view is going to be the most effective way as opposed to an outright transfer. But yeah, to Jorge's point, I think in our minds, we probably be convinced that we have no choice but to acquire at least 2 sites, right, Manny? 2 sites?
Yes, sir. 2 at the minimum, if not 3 or 4 would be great.
Yeah.
But
Let's go
I
for it.
agree.
And you know, we will soon get into the whole finances. I mean, you're seeing all of the revenue reports and that, and then you know we start some renderings and conceptual design, and while things are moving in parallel, the engagement with the council, the school board, and the staff, and what have you. So all these things are running in parallel, but with one end goal in mind, Pastor Jackson. That would be that we end up in some sort of partnership this coming year that we can then start making real plans, properties.
Yeah. Go ahead.
If someone in the room is speaking right now, could you please turn your microphone on?
Okay, testing. But were you all able to hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we hear you.
Thank you.
Also, I'd like to mention if the city by chance were to enter into a joint use agreement with Ballin Park Unified School District, that would be the only way we would be able to receive and exhaust any type of grants. Traditionally, a grant $1 million equates to approximately about a decade. So we would probably need to enter into a 50-year agreement to develop any one of the facilities. So if we had 2 facilities, then we would need to enter into 2 joint use agreements for 50 years each facility, if not take over the land in a joint use type of agreement.
I had a question for the affordable housing. They have first dibs on the property, on that. I'm gonna say this. They have first dibs to make an offer, and could any other entity challenge that offer, or they can put an offer out, and it's up to the school board to accept that offer?
School board would be required. It would be a 10-unit affordable housing developer, and if it's not 10-unit affordable housing, then they would offer it to like 8 units. Then they start going like lower and lower and settling for less. But state law does give priority to housing. But the city's also at an advantage because it's a public entity, and a public entity to a public entity transfer. It would be an exception to that, but it's a whole separate process. You have to get certified with the state. It's a lot of time.
Okay.
Just for your consideration. And like Manny was saying, probably the best option would be a joint use agreement from a legal standpoint. As you're advocating with the district and the community, that's like something you want to keep in mind, that a joint use is favorable to the city.
Like I said in the first meeting way back when, these properties, 8, 9, 10-acre properties are not going to come up ever again. The Target was built probably 30 years ago when they developed all that land. Walmart was developed 20 years ago, bought from the Carballs back then. And the land that we have now, $3.2 million per acre, that's absorbing an amount of money. But that's what they're assessing it at. That's what it is. But like if it costs us 3.2, 3.5, it's the only option we do have to buy that property, and it'll never come around again. And if we're gonna do something big, we have to bite the bullet and figure out how to make that 3.2 or 3.5 work with Measure BP, with grants, whatever else we have, Sal Enriquez car, to get it done. This is, business 101. If you want something, you got to pay for it. If they have the golden apple right now, and we need to pay for it. And I think if it's 3.2, it's 3.2, and 9 acres in a residential area, very rectangle, very usable property. There's no mountains or rivers going through it, so I think it's all usable land. And I think it'll be definitely a staple for the next 50 years, because Target's still here, Walmart's still here, and that's the last 2 big projects. We knocked down Bonds and built Home Depot, but that was a property that was already developed. But properties that we went out and bulldoze things, those are 20-year-old projects, 30-year-old projects. Now it's time to invest in our youth and our community. We bringing in revenue dollars to fill that place up at our new tax rate. They'll be putting money right back into BP, and it is what it is. And if it's 3.2, it's 3.2. So I think we got to go that way and spearhead it, go forward, and don't look back, and let's get it done.
And the beauty, I think, of the opportunity is that we not necessarily have to acquire the land as a purchase. If we do a joint use agreement with the school district, it's a non-acquisition of the land, but it's an agreement of, long-term use. So that spares us having to use the money for the acquisition, which is probably one of the largest outlays, right? 30 million for one property, that's a lot of money. Don't use, I think, will prevent us from having to do the outlay, the acquisition.
Can y'all explain the joint use a little more in detail, just to get a clear picture what that would actually mean?
The joint use? Well, let's see, we have had a joint use agreement before for certain, it spells out the conditions by which the city could use, and it could even be where the custody of the land is temporarily given to the city, right? It could be a number of different scenarios, Manny.
Yes, sir. The legal counsel could probably expand on it a little bit more, but there is something called best practices out there, and a joint use agreement is traditionally an agreement that stipulates who is responsible for what. So hypothetically speaking, if the school district and the city entered into a joint use agreement, school district would provide the property, the city would provide the maintenance, construction, and things of that nature. We would be liable in terms of insurance and or depending on how it's stipulated. But legal counsel could probably expand on that if I just generalized it a little bit.
I think you nailed it. It's just in a contract, an agreement where the city and the district decide how they're going to share this land, from the hours that'll be worked, how it's going to be staffed, the liability. If someone trips in the sand, the city's going to have to pay for their injuries. Like, you just iron out every scenario that could happen as both the parties are using the land, and you try to solve the problem ahead of it in this contract. You lay out the terms of how they're going to work out this joint use of land.
Yeah, it's been my observation from watching other cities and school districts of how they utilize their joint use agreement. Maintenance seems to be a challenge in terms of replacing the lighting system, maintaining the graffiti, the playground apparatus, artificial turf, things of that nature. But I do think best practices already exist out there. So we can definitely utilize those type of elements to craft a joint use agreement that would benefit the city of or the community. And also, if and when we should apply for grants, joint use agreements rank very high because you have multiple agencies collaborating with each other, the school district, the city, it could be the little leagues, soccer groups, wrestling program, all kinds of different types of groups. So I tend to think with our Park Port community and the collaboration, we would rank very, very high. We have a state senator, state assembly member currently in the California elected branch, and we currently have a congressional representative that's been very supportive to the city of Baldwin Park, as well as a county supervisor. And there's Proposition 68 grant opportunities coming down the pipeline, as well as Measure A, which is at Los Angeles County Regional Open Space Park District. So there's opportunities out there for the city to collaborate with our various partners to secure funds.
So with that, we do have a recommendation to have our tour number 2 this coming Saturday, November 18th, which would include the Glendale Sports Park, the Southgate Sports Park, and the La Puente Sports Complex. Would it be the same as this last time? 8 to, what was it? 3?
At 8 o'clock,
Or-
start gathering at the, we call it the atrium. That's this courtyard between, although this time being a little cooler, maybe even some rain.
Yeah.
You know, when we scheduled when we picked the date, of course, there was no rain forecast. And then in as recently as a week ago, still no rain for Saturday. But this morning I checked the weather and now there's some rain forecast for Saturday, but it's a little earlier in the morning. Well, I think from 9 a.m. till noon or so. But I hope the SOC members don't mind a little bit of rain. Like, bring your umbrellas. But we will gather at 8 a.m. at the Arc Center, and then our departure. We'll finalize the itinerary. Once you vote on this, we'll finalize the itinerary tomorrow. But generally 8 o'clock till 4 o'clock p.m.
Okay. So do we need to have quorum for this site visit or? Because I know we didn't last time, but it wasn't
We
sure if
would
that
want
was-
to have everyone there, but I know board member Estela won't be able to make it. I know of her not being able to make it. But yeah, we of course can do without the quorum, but we would want everyone else to be there.
Okay, so Deputy Chief Clerk, is this a roll call vote?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So can I get a roll call vote then?
My keyboard. So is there a motion? And
Yes, this, I'm sorry. What
Um,
session?
I make a motion to approve of tour number 2 to be conducted Saturday, November 18th, 2023.
a second?
I'll go for a second.
I second.
Second.
Go ahead.
Second.
Will.
I'll second it.
Okay, who was that?
Greg. Greg Ross.
Very good, let's go.
Okay. Member Hernandez,
Yes.
Member Orozco,
Yes.
Member Rodriguez,
Yes.
Member Van Wyn,
Yes.
Vice Chair Jackson,
Yes.
Chair Lara,
Yes,
motion carries.
May I ask a question too?
yes.
Would it be proper if we get a nonpartisan or a citizen of Baldwin Park that's not a part of this to go on that tour with us?
We would have to know who you have in mind. I'm just kidding. Um, so the tour, as you know, we will publish actually a meeting agenda. So it ends up being a meeting of the SOC. The tour is, so it's open to the public. However, because of the limitations of the capacity of the bus isn't available to the public, but it is an open meeting. If you would like to invite a guest, is that if a guest, yeah, guest of the members, yes, they would be welcome.
I was just wondering if a guest, whomever, if there would be a pretty good eyewitness of what our plans are and what they see, that's not affiliated with SOC, but a citizen of Baldwin Park.
Yes, and we'll say that the board members can invite a guest, so we'll say it's a guest. Who would be a member of the public? But because we don't open the shuttle or the bus for the general public, because then we, if we had 10 people show up, then the capacity of the shuttle is I want to say 25 people. So that's why we don't open it up for the public.
So they would have to drive themselves.
Yes, they would have to drive themselves. But if the board members would like to bring a guest, yes, you can.
So, sir, I was looking at this, I was thinking about it, since we're working with the school district, is it okay if we open the invitation to them to show them that this is what we're doing? We are serious about it. Maybe that get them open up on the joint use, right? So that they know, hey, if we get in together, this is what we got for the school. We don't have to rent anything else for the CIF. We don't have to go outside of state, right? Outside of the ballpark. And with us, that works out for us too. I don't know if you can extend the invitation now to their board members, maybe?
Certainly, we can extend it to the executive office. So I don't know if the board would be bound by any Brown Act kind of a thing, but we'll definitely extend it to the executive office. We will do that, Member Nguyen.
Good idea. Okay, so now we will move on to item number 4, the SOC community engagement meetings. So we held 2 meetings, one October 16th at the ARC Center and then on the 17th at Barnes Park. So one of the things we did want to explore today is a date. Is that what we're doing, Enrique?
Yeah, so related to this item, to the extent that the committee wants a debrief of the comments that were submitted at those.
Oh, you're going to present those. Okay.
We can go over just we just have one-liner remarks that the Chief Deputy City Clerk summarized from the comments that were submitted. We attached them to the agenda, and this is just to keep an inventory of the kind of comments that have come in, so that we don't lose sight of the fact that people are expressing thoughts and preferences, sort of a wish list, if you will. And that would be the attachment as item number 4.
Excuse me, Enrique.
Sure.
Yours has the entire packet, the members' agendas, the papers, they don't. But if you scroll your computer to page number 9 on your computer, that is the list of the community input, page number 9.
And these are the one-liners as our Chief Deputy summarized it, but starting with help measure BP, help with homelessness. Something as specific as a bike rack at Walnut Creek Park, which, you know, the range of feedback, and it does, as you have said all along, it does not matter whether it's a big item or a small item. The fact is, people, residents, offer their preferences and their ideas. And a way of broadcasting community outreach in the form of software that will help us with that. Crossing guards, interestingly, right? Obviously a priority for parents. A dog park, which, you know, one is on its way. May know by now that as part of the makeover of Barnes Park, it includes a construction of a brand new dog park. So that's well on its way. A free bus day, and I think we should take this one up. Not because BP necessarily needs to subsidize it, Measure BP, but you know, it's an idea that I think we should bring to City Council, Councilmember Damian. You know, offer free bus days, and if free Wi-Fi at the parks. We don't have free Wi-Fi now, right, Manny?
We currently have an agreement with Spectrum, and we have free Wi-Fi per device, 1 hour per 24 hours. If you are a subscriber to Spectrum, and then your home internet, if you have Wi-Fi with Spectrum, that will carry over to the park. So, for example, if you have a iPad or a laptop that does not have access to the internet and you have it at home, you could bring it to the park and you would get free Wi-Fi. So we do have free Wi-Fi at Morgan Park and Barnes Park.
Okay. Yeah, just as a general expression of BP help with mental health programs. A rider safety kit for bicyclists, and you know, more and more people are taking up bicycling, which, you know, if anyone has ever fallen off of a bike, you'll know what the results of that fall can be. And reactivating the running club. I don't know if we ever had an organized running club for our recreation program, but I don't run anymore. I just walk. Okay, so.
All right, Ricky, could I back up just a moment, please? In dealing with, I guess it's so hard for me to see, 8 mental health programs. I just want to make my opinion in dealing and seeing people out there on the streets. That's a pretty heavy program that is a necessary program that it would be awesome to have, because so many people, I guess the effect of drugs, the effect of losing family members and jobs have affected many people mentally. And we need to be able to help our citizens out with that.
Okay.
You just may want to clarify, Enrique, that so in regards to the mental health programs, we do have Lakata that we work with. They have a crisis team that's out there addressing some of the homeless individuals with mental health problems, as well as, you know, drug or substance abuse issues. So we do have something on there, but this may be something that can expand on that. And then again, these are just, you know, examples of what you guys would want to prioritize from the list. But we do have some of those in place already.
I agree with Pastor Jackson, you know, to put a pin in it. The mental health, I mean, I was attacked last week by a homeless person. So it's out there. It's not just in the corners of the community, they're everywhere, so Lakata, I've known about them because I'm involved in the city, but I think maybe a city effort to let the city know what programs we do have now and what programs we are thinking about adding to our mental health programs would get the city engaged. Because when we had the city meetings at the park a year ago, before the chief beefed up his police department, the main thing was about mental health, people running around and calling the police, and they were never there. The mental health, it didn't go away. They're just in the little crevices, and they come out when they would come out, So I think if we had a public announcement what we have and put a campaign together to say what we're going to bring to the city, I think we'd get more engagement from the community, because they're pretty vocal even on this last go around of meetings regarding mental health. So I'm glad it's on the agenda here. So
And just to piggyback on what he just said, even for us up here, just as this continues to unfold, just letting us know what is in place right now and what that looks like, so that we already know what's in place and potentially what an enhancement or an expansion could look like.
Very good. And we'll be far more mindful of ensuring that the general city information, for example, on the mental health front / housing, which so often they go hand in hand. Not long ago, I think it was about a month ago or so, there was a huge announcement on a partnership the city went in on with the county and a nonprofit organization called Weingard, a Weingard Center, on a proposal to the state for the development of 50 plus permanent housing units for folks who are generally coming out of street homelessness, to be housed in a permanent setting at what is now the Grand Park Inn Hotel. And, we went in as a partner with the county, city council's approval, and the state approved $35 million. The county put in 11 million of their own, so we're up to 40-some million dollars. It includes the acquisition of the hotel or the development of what is now the same structure, but converted to an apartment complex for folks that are homeless and, with some mental health issues that will then receive wraparound services. So that's obviously a huge compliment to the mental health programs that the city is undertaking, that, whether while it was put out on a press release and it went out, that doesn't mean people know about it. So yeah, we will be very mindful of ensuring that we share that with, because now you're in the know, you're on the inside. Can no longer claim that you're outside. You're on the inside. So we'll make sure that you are always aware of things that are going on. Okay, would you, Madam Chair, would you like go on to all the comments here? So let's see here. Bike storage at Metrolink commuters. For Metrolink commuters, thought we had a bike bin, but maybe we don't. So no, this is where you secure your bicycle under lock and key. Not with a chain, but they're actually go inside these bins, very large lockers, bike inside, lock it up. Some train stations have them. Covina is one of the stations that have them. But we'll look into it and see if SOC would be so inclined to something on this. Senior Center, I think it was Gabi who made these comments. Oh, um, eh, making the doors more user friendly, easier to open. Maybe we need those sensor activated doors. I don't know. I know the sensor activated doors are in the entrance. No, Manny, to
Yes, we do have automatic doors that are basically touchless doors for the main entrance to the
seniors.
Julia McNeil Senior Center, although we do have other doors that the seniors do utilize to enter the facility. So those doors can possibly be retrofitted to make them touchless or automatic entry doors.
And yeah, in regards to the entrance policy, I know George has brought this up as well. Jorge has. Limit the entrance, register seniors only, card holding seniors, Jorge, right?
Yes, I I visited the senior center in Pasadena, and as soon as I walk in there, there's like a tape or some kind of a just like that system they have at the banks. You don't go straight to the to the senior center. You go and straight to the front desk and identify yourself. Other than that, you cannot go in there. You have to be a member of that. And they were very nice. They gave me a tour. And the reason I went in there because I was representing Baldwin Park, and I present my membership, and I told them that I was from Baldwin Park Senior Center, and I was interested to see their building. But yeah, for safety reasons, they have that system.
And that a best practice, Manny? Do we not have the registration requirement?
Great question. We do have a registration requirement, although we have a open facility. We do not stop anyone as they enter the facility, and that's pretty much customary in most facilities. I'm not familiar with the Pasadena site. They probably operate a little bit more like a 24-hour fitness where you have to show your card or scan your card, which isn't a terrible idea. It's just a little different. And I'd have to go visit Pasadena and see how that's working for them. But I'm familiar with other facilities, and I've never physically have come across that before.
And excuse me, and the reason I think they did that because their facility is next to a park, and I saw homeless around the park, and we almost we in the same situation. We in a park, and sometimes we got homeless that they just go wandering there, like it's their property. And my concern is the safety of the seniors at the senior center.
Well, let's definitely take it under advisement. Okay. Sponsor future youth programs, of course, but this would be more almost like if software, and this could come back as a proposal, right? Where you fund well, exactly what it says, tours to cultural facilities, could be artistic facilities, performing arts. And we can definitely take this up and present it with some sort of proposal to you guys. Street repairs, we talked about including street lights, anything that is related to street infrastructure, putting signalizations. Some intersections don't have a left arrow. More and more now left arrows have become necessary because it's hard to navigate a left turn to have a left arrow. I'm sure we all have experienced that. And we talked about the free bus day. And in other words, definitely promote the fact that we have a transit system in Baldwin Park. I think most of us have seen the buses generally empty. Not a whole lot of people ride them. And so maybe it does behoove us to make it all free all the time. I don't know. But I know that's gonna come to the city council soon in terms of a policy with regards to our transit system. So that's so far what we have received in the way of comments. And
Enriquez, can we add on to 17? I know it's general statement there, but the curb repair that I mentioned, I came to the city council meeting last week and told you guys, my neighbor's leaving notes that the curbs are still orange, and there's more and more orange striped curbs than there is cement sometimes,
for parking,
no orange stripes, that the curbs are offset and uprooted. If you after they told me, I started driving around and noticed so much orange curbs.
Oh, just for tripping
hazard. Yeah. It's went from one or two that now that I see it, now that I'm aware of it, I see it everywhere, coming down right in front of right down the street from here, right front of the tacos to Domino's.
King Taco,
that whole area, every section is orange. You go on the other side, it's all orange. You go to around the park over there by 99-cent store, it's all orange. I didn't really see it up until to the SOC members. I'm in the Athol, Waco area. So now that the members know that I'm part of the city, they've been leaving little notes in my mailbox. Hey, you got to fix this. You got to fix this. But most of it is curb or safety for crosswalks, adding buttons or lights or whatever to that effect. But after I seen project, the city around, they're doing things. They came in, the graffiti team's awesome. They came in 20 minutes to my house and fix it. The orange curbs are excessive to a point where I'd like the city to acknowledge it. If we have to help fund it from the Measure BP. But I think it's abundance, all the trip hazards that are around now that I'm looking at them.
Yeah.
So if we could address that somewhere in the future.
And in fact, in the way of registering this on your mind, and because I knew soon you were going to start getting anxious about picking up bill proposals, right? So at the next meeting, what I intend was to make a recommendation that you direct us to bring you the first proposal at your February meeting. That will be a real proposal, but it will also be a pilot by which you will be able to see how this process can work and how we tinker with it, refine it in the way that you would like to see proposals come in. But we will have first proposal in February. And I won't tell you what we're thinking, but it'll be one proposal that also be used as a template for you. Okay, we want to see this, we want to see that, and then the spigot will be open. No, I'm just kidding. And then there'll be all the others, including streets and all. Yeah.
There's some Baldwin Park residents getting a little itchy about we're paying this tax. What have we spent it on, or where's the money going?
Absolutely.
So I tell them it's coming. It's coming. I'm telling them it's coming, and we have collected. Now it's $2.8 million. So the money machine's rolling. We just now we got to lay it out. So thank you.
That was on the let's see,
17.
Finished. Hit 18.
So, Madam Chair, recommending that you direct us to schedule one other community engagement meeting.
Yes,
Is that where we are?
yes. We're under number 4. Yes, we just went over the list. And then it's now to discuss the organization of a meeting to be held late January.
Yes, and we say January because we have essentially entered the holiday season, we wouldn't get any participation. But we say January because, as I was thinking about the February, start taking up proposals already. But that gives us from the time we return in early January, 2-3 weeks to really promote it. And make every effort to get folks to come out. Now, we're saying the southern part of the city, in that whether it's as far south as say of the Kaiser complex, where we could very well get a room there, hold a community meeting there. Walnut Creek Park does not have a community conference room, so that we wouldn't be able to have it there. But somewhere in the south, or still on the southern part of the city, but on this side of the freeway. So, I'll work with Manny and try to come up with a venue that would be in the southern part of the city, be one of the elementary schools. So if you direct us to do that, then we will work on it and plan it, schedule it, organize it for this third or fourth week of January.
Yes, I think we're all in agreement. Can I get a motion to coordinate and organize one more meeting in January 2024?
Make the motion that we coordinate a meeting in January 24.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Favor?
Member Hernandez,
Yes.
Member Orozco,
Yes.
Member Rodriguez,
Yes.
Member Van Wyn,
Yes.
Vice Chair Jackson,
Yes.
Chair Lara,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay.
For that one, can I make a suggestion? Maybe not Kaiser, just because it gets Kaiser's a little bit confusing, and parking there is a little bit hectic sometimes depending on time of day, and that it's super packed. And I'll be honest, just because I get lost in Kaiser as a patient, I can only imagine someone is like wanting to go to a meeting. They're gonna be like, that's a law. It's tricky there.
I actually think an elementary school would be great.
Can I make a suggestion?
Mhm.
Can we try Danza? Who?
Is that in the south part?
That's over there by that. It's by the 10 freeway close.
On Vineland, Vineland?
No, Best Avenue.
Oh, on Bess by the freeway.
Yes,
Best right over the bridge.
Okay,
yes.
Piazza. Okay, we will write the answer.
And just to comment on the other 2 engagement meetings that we did have, just want to also thank the staff that were there and for taking notes. I felt, even though it might not have been the turnout that I think some people were hoping for, as someone who works with community people, I thought that was a really solid turnout. That one of them we had like 15 people. Trust me, Pastor, that is an amazing turnout for community engagement on a weekday night. It's not what we would like. Of course, we always want to strive for more, but considering that we only had like 2 or 3 weeks notice going out, it was really great, and I want to commend everyone for their effort. And just want to also comment that afterwards, people who were a little bit nervous to speak to me, well, not speak to me, but to like the board and going up to a podium, because I think public speaking is a little scary for a lot of people. They did tell me that some suggestions that someone who went to not one but both of the meetings was they would really like if we considered also business opportunities, especially for new businesses in Bolden Park, and just also, of course, housing. those were just also some more suggestions that people who went didn't get a chance to speak. Well, not that they didn't get a chance to, but they felt a little nervous speaking in front of everybody. I want to pass along their message to the board that they did show up, they did come, they just felt a little nervous.
You know, I will express how gratifying it was to see the board, all of you, be very welcoming of the folks speaking. So I think you do make people feel at ease, even though they come up to a microphone. Make them, all of you, make them feel at ease.
I had a question, Enrique. So just moving forward in the future, when we do have like Greg's getting notes or people are, coming up to Sasha, are we going to have an actual process by which we then share that or memorialize it, or what happens with that?
I think depending on how this the context and how much of it, you always have the member comments period here where
Right.
you can share anything that you hear back from the community that's not agendized. So that's your opportunity.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, I forgot one more. Same individual also, I was trying to think back to the conversation. I'm like, what else did they say? Also said job retention, really passionate about that because they were like, I live in the city, I have a house here, but I would really love to have a job in Baldwin Park. I don't know if that's something you want to prioritize, just something that I know we were talking about earlier about retention staff, and they were like, I love Baldwin Park, I would love to work here because what's better than working in your own city, you can't beat that. But just another thing they mentioned.
Thank you. So now we'll move on to item number 5, which is the Measure BP sales tax financial update.
Ross.
Hi, good evening, SOC Chair and board members. Since the last meeting, we have received another $466,000 in October, and also based on the existing fund that in the account, we have allocated about $1,000 interest to this fund. And as of now, the total balance in Measure BP fund is 2.82825 million. We haven't incurred any expenditure yet. Any questions on this?
Ross, do you want to explain to the committee that as you receive the money, you place it in some interest earning account? That's why now there's earned interest being earned. So while it's not in a straight savings per se, it does earn some interest.
Yes, and we have allocate the interest evenly to whatever balance in each funds. And for example, we put idle money in LAIF, interest earning account. We also put some money in the U.S. Treasury bonds, and we also put some money in the money market account, that we make sure that we don't leave any cities idle money in the checking, which including the Measure BP money. Thank you.
So now we're moving on to item number 6, the holiday recess for the SOC meetings.
Madam Chair, in consideration of us entering the holiday and the holiday season, which, for some it begins in Halloween, but we did have a Halloween contest event here at the city, and it was quite fun. But Thanksgiving for sure, but then after that we enter the Christmas season and other holidays that other folks celebrate. Council has already approved a meeting recess that would that has canceled the meeting of the 20th, December 20th, and the meeting of January 6th. And which means it's intended also to allow for staff to be able to take time off, go on vacation, and do it early enough so folks can plan, right? Folks sometimes travel out of the country, travel out of state. It does provide for the opportunity for folks to be able to make the plans and not be stressed out over getting reports in for a meeting. And so along those same lines, I recommend that the SOC consider canceling your January 9th meeting. And that the meeting prior to that, we would still be in holiday recess from a council perspective. Which means we won't be around to do the agenda and all the stuff that is required for the pre-meeting. As well as for the board members, for you guys to be able to make plans for the holidays. So I recommend that you cancel that meeting.
Any questions or comments on this?
Do you also recommend the December one, since the council will also be taking December meeting off?
The it would be on December 12th. We felt it was still early enough in the month that we can still hold the meeting. But if the committee would consider canceling the December 12th, I think we might be
I'll make a motion to cancel the SOC meeting on Tuesday, January 9th of 2024.
Can I get a second?
A second. Good.
Do we have a motion? We have a motion to cancel January 9th,
Yes.
24th meeting. Member Hernandez,
Yes.
Member Orozco,
Yes.
Member Rodriguez,
Yes.
Member Van Wyn,
Yes.
Vice Chair Jackson,
Yes.
Chair Lara,
Yes.
motion passes.
So the next item is number 7, Stakeholders Oversight Committee meeting minutes. Yes. So I'll make a motion that we approve and pass the minutes from the meetings held on September 12th, 2023 and October 10th, 2023.
I second.
I have a first and a second. Member Hernandez.
Yeah.
Member Orozco,
Yes.
Member Rodriguez,
Yes.
Member Van Wyn,
Yes.
Vice Chair Jackson,
Yes.
Chair Lara,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. Next, we move to Stakeholder Oversight Committee / staff requests and communications. Is there anyone wishing to make any requests or comments at this time?
Just a question for 7. Do we need to approve minutes for the community meetings that we had, or those were good to know?
Those are summary
Okay.
notes, the ones that we went over.
I have one. I have I got this copy which I from a business here in Baldwin Park. It's a donut shop, but my question is this: how many businesses like this are charging 9.5 tax? How come they're not paying the current tax? And if they're not collecting the money that they supposed to, and then we're losing money.
Correct. Yes,
Yeah.
and I know in one of the previous meetings, if not the immediately previous meeting, committee had asked us as staff to find out, I think it was to find out what happens if a business or a merchant is not yet updated their register. And are they responsible for paying the missed collection So we, maintain a good contact with the state organization, State Department that runs the sales tax. That's the CDTFA, which stands for California Department of Tax and something else and finance agents. Anyway, CDTFA. Okay, that's the name of the state department that oversees the sales tax. We have a good active relationship with them. So if you may recall, out here from the inception and the approval, the sales tax became effective for Measure BP on April 1st of this year. And, we worked with CDTFA to ensure that they notified all of the businesses, and they came up with a flyer on education piece, which they shared with us. And we were doing random visits, just like you then and you now, and some of us did then. And so the idea was to give the businesses somewhat of a grace period, at least from the CDTFA perspective, of them adjusting their computer systems and adjusting their registers. For some, pretty simple adjustment. For someone like Nichols Lumber, because I know I visited them specifically, for them it was a big deal because they have all the sales computer systems tied into their financials, reporting, tax reporting, you name it. It was a big deal for them. It took them literally like a month to be able to make the change. So from CDTFA's perspective, that grace period is over. So the way that they enforce it now, which actually ends up being better, Rose, is that they will receive the gross sales amount from a merchant. For example, this business here will be reporting what their total sales was. Then CDTFA will do a calculation. Well, based on this gross sales, you should have paid us this much in sales tax, but you're only paying us this much. Meaning, if it's based on 9.5, they're shorting what they should have paid by the 1%. So then CDTFA, you need to remit the difference. So in effect, the business is on the hook for paying the difference. That doesn't mean they should stay that way. So by all means, this kind of vigilance is important, because we're going to forward this to the CDTFA first thing tomorrow morning, and they'll send their local inspector from the field inspector, and they'll go visit them tomorrow. So this is very good.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Seeing since there's no other comments, we'll go ahead and move.
Fair.
Yes.
Can I just make a quick statement? Depending on when the district is going to meet next, I know you all have a meeting on December 12th. It might be worth recommending staff to put together a resolution, which is a statement of all of the committee, just letting the district know that you all support a joint use agreement, so that when the district does meet, if it's after the December 12th meeting, you would all have like an official statement on behalf of the committee that you've all voted on and approved, to sort of back your advocacy before the district, as it's considering, you said in the December meeting, how it's going to proceed. That could be effective. And this is where you would do that. Just going forward and on the agenda, you could recommend staff put together a resolution, a statement on behalf of you all that you would vote on at the next meeting, that you could present to the district and letting them know your stance as a body.
Thank you for that idea. So then I think that would be great if a statement was put together. I motion that we direct staff to do that on our behalf so that we can share that with the district. But in addition for that, thank you for the reminder. Enrique, if you can keep us, yes.
If it's just a direction, not a motion, because it's not agendized.
So it'll just be a
direct.
You can direct us, just
Okay.
direct us.
Okay, Thank you.
In other words, bosses around, that's fine.
Thank you. No, I just want to make sure I'm doing this right. But in addition to that, if you can just let us know about I know the last time it was the 2x2 committee.
The collaborative?
Yes.
Yes, the Councilmember Damon. So yeah, that's on a case by case basis. It doesn't have a regular,
Okay.
but by him bringing it up, that he's telling me that it's time to have one.
Okay, then just let us know so that we can attend.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. So without any further ado, I'll go ahead and motion that we adjourn the meeting at 7:03 PM. Can I get a second?
Second.
Sasha,
Second.
Okay, so then this meeting is officially adjourned at 7:03 PM. Thank you.
Thank-